Stephen Harper can expect to hear the calls again today for answers. The Prime Minister is far from Ottawa, but not far enough to get away from the $90,000 question. That question, what did he know about the secret deal between his former Chief of Staff and Senator Mike Duffy? The opposition wants answers, too, about Duffy's expense claims, but Conservatives in the Senate are sending the controversy back behind closed doors. Hannah Thibodeau is on the story. She's in Ottawa, as usual, at her post in our bureau there. Late night for everyone who covers the federal political scene. Take us through what happened in the Senate last night, Hannah.
That's right. It was late into the evening, Heather, that senators debated the expense scandal. The Liberals wanted to send the Mike Duffy audit back to the RCMP. However, the Conservatives argued this was premature, and the Conservatives moved to send the Duffy reports back to the Internal Economy Committee. Now, the leader of the opposition in the Senate says that the Harper government is in contempt of Parliament. He says this is because the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff paid the $90,000 to stop the audit in the first place. So he paid the $90,000 so Mike Duffy wouldn't have to participate fully in the audit originally. So what he calls it is a whitewash. Take a listen to what he had to say.
If there was a connection and if monies were paid, which would influence the decision of a Senate committee, then that is contempt of Parliament, and that infringes my privileges as a senator, and it infringes the privileges of senators, the Senate.
Senator James Cowan there after the session last night. It wasn't just senators, though, who were jumping on this issue, was it, Hannah?
No, absolutely not. It was the same thing in the House of Commons earlier in the day. The opposition were calling on the government to send the senators' expenses, the scandals that have been raging in the Senate, to the RCMP. It was left to Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird to answer those questions because, of course, the Prime Minister is in Peru. He stood up over and over again. He said, no, there are two independent bodies looking into this currently. One of those is the Ethics Commissioner, Mary Dawson, and her office confirmed last night that she is looking into the payment by Nigel Wright. But finally, the other one is the Senate committee, but that isn't an independent body. So it was interesting that he tried to say that over and over again in question period yesterday. He also said the Prime Minister had no knowledge of what took place with his right-hand man, Nigel Wright, in making this payment. And he was very scripted, and that's odd for John Baird. He's usually off the cuff. He likes to handle these type of controversies, but he read a lot and the same lines over and over again. But we do know currently that the Ethics Commissioner is looking into this as well. Now those expenses of Mike Duffy's have gone back to the committee, and we'll see further today what the opposition is calling for.
Hannah, thank you very much. Hannah Thibodeau from Ottawa this morning. As Hannah just mentioned there, the Prime Minister is thousands of kilometers away from Ottawa this morning. Stephen Harper is beginning a 4-day trade mission to Latin America. He arrived in Peru last night. The Prime Minister is set to hold a news conference later today with the Peruvian leader. Now, reporters traveling with Harper haven't had a chance to speak to him since questions were shouted at him during yesterday's Conservative caucus meeting. Our senior correspondent, Terry Malevsky, is also in Peru's capital of Lima and brings us the latest from there.
Prime Minister Harper arrived last night in Lima, Peru, without saying a single word to reporters on his plane about the Senate expense scandal or about anything else, as is his custom. He now goes into a round of talks focused mainly on trade with a business group and with his Peruvian counterparts. Mainly the focus will be on the upcoming summit in Cali, Colombia, of the so-called Pacific Alliance. That is a new, roughly 2-year-old free trade group comprising Mexico, Chile, Peru, and Colombia, and Canada is thinking of trying to join that group. None of this, of course, is going to sweep aside the crisis that is now gripping the Harper government over the Senate scandal, and in particular over the astonishing $90,000 gift by Harper's departing Chief of Staff, Nigel Wright, to Senator Mike Duffy. In fact, the air of tension only seems to have increased as a result of Harper's remarks yesterday to his caucus, in which he said nothing at all about the key questions of what he knew about the deal and what its terms were. Now, Harper does have a joint press conference scheduled with his Peruvian counterpart, President Ollantaytamala at about 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. And as odd as it may seem that this is going to happen in Peru, of all places, it will be the first chance that reporters have to put the question to the Prime Minister. Terry Molesky, CBC News, Lima, Peru.